I don't know how long this is going to be. If anybody's going to watch it, it doesn't really matter to me. I just wanted to talk about the thing that has been a problem for several months, uh, which is the or not the tax, the stimulus relief fund for the global pandemic. So, if you are from America, or you know sort of anything about what's been going on, how America's been dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, then you might know that the government was supposed to, back in April, send out stimulus relief money. Um, they basically announced that because so many people were losing their jobs because of it, so many people were new family who were getting sick. They were getting sick themselves. They basically needed some help from the government, some financial assistance. And so that's pretty much all they explained. They didn't say anything about. First of all, at first there was no question of eligibility as far as who could get this money. It was basically, most people thought that just about anybody could get it. And then they said that it was going to be people under a certain income. So, like, if you happen to have a job that pays over a certain amount, I don't really know the exact number, but it was definitely a hell of a lot higher than anything I ever made at any job I did. So, you were supposed to be eligible. Well, so I lost my job that I had at the time when the pandemic really struck. I got laid off, so of course, I was freaking out about not having a job. I thought I was going to have to move in with my parents for a while, because how am I going to make money? I can't afford to still rent my apartment that I rent with my brother. And so basically, that was going to be our plan, and then they made the announcement about the relief fund. And I talked to some people about it, and like when they first put out the stimulus, almost everybody that I know got it. My older brother got it the exact day. The brother that I live with, he got his sent to the wrong bank. I guess they had a former bank of his on files, so he had to basically get them to reroute the check. And so he eventually received it. Meanwhile, I never received mine. After a couple of months, at first not everyone could get it, and I just kept waiting. When is it going to be my turn to get that money that I really needed? Because even when I had a job, I didn't have the money that I needed to support myself. So that money, that $1,200, I really needed that. It wasn't just something that was just some like extra spending money for me, to go blow on something that I like, some leisure thing. It was to help me. It was to help me get through the economic and financial crisis that I was in and have been in for about a year, since I left my full-time job. And I just kept on waiting. And every time I checked it, they had a website that was, get my payment, and they would check the status of your payment. When is it coming? What's the process? What status is it in? And but whenever I would check it, it just kept saying payment status not available. And I checked it like every day, still nothing. At that time, I did my taxes for 2019. So people were talking about that, like, did you do your taxes? I didn't even know that your taxes had anything to do with, stimulus relief that you were supposed to get. I thought it was something that every American was supposed to get, or at least everybody. I thought that the fact that I lost my job due to the pandemic would make any difference at all, but it didn't. And like I was so glad. Like every day I would check my bank account because I had like nothing in there. Like I didn't even have money for food. I was literally begging people for money. I was, setting up not GoFundMe's, but one of those types of, things. I don't remember, the name escapes me. But one of those things, like where people send you money, kind of like a GoFundMe. I'll remember the name of it later. But anyway, yeah. So I was, I had like no money, and I kept checking to see like when is my stimulus gonna come in? When is my tax refund gonna come in? I just every day I kept just hoping like $1,200, like just to see $1,200 in my bank account instead of like $10. I could not. I mean the like being able to pay my half of rent was completely out of the question. So I'm sorry, I'm just trying to remember everything, so I'm sorry if I'm blanking. I'm really frustrated about this whole thing because this has been something I've been dealing with for months and months. So let me see here. So I finally got my tax refund, maybe after like 3 weeks of waiting for it. So I would check my bank account every single day. When I would wake up, that was like the first thing I did. And then finally, I got like $500 for my tax. Okay, so whenever I filed my taxes for 2019, I don't know how, because I know nothing about taxes. But I filed my taxes with TurboTax, which is like supposed to be the most reputable, app or whatever you want to call it to do your taxes. They basically, I mean, they market themselves as doing your taxes, like your taxes made easy, like having an easy, not having to go through all the complicated stuff. And so since school teaches you nothing, absolutely nothing about filing taxes, which you would think would be important to learn, but no, they teach you about, imaginary numbers and Pythagorean theorem and all that stuff. They don't teach you how to balance a checkbook. They don't teach you how to manage your finances. They don't teach you how to file your taxes. That's just something that you have to learn on your own or have somebody teach you how to do, which it's complicated. Like they should make it a unit in high school or something. They should make it like, okay, this 6 weeks or this few weeks we're going to be learning how to do taxes, because when you get older, every year you're gonna have to do your taxes. So you gotta learn how to do it. But no, they didn't care. They didn't teach us anything about that. So when I became an adult, I had to have other people kind of show me how to do it. And luckily, I'm glad it's not like the olden days where like you had to you always see the people doing their taxes like in old TV shows and stuff when they're just like, they have like their glasses on, like the small glasses, and they have like some kind of like machine that spits out like long paper, and they're like typing things out, however they do it, however they used to do it. I don't even know how people used to do taxes. Now they make it somewhat easy, and so you use TurboTax, and they walk you through each step, and you get your W-2 for whatever jobs you had that year, and you just look for the information it provides, and that's what you do. And I did that, I did that every year. I used to be put on my parents. I used to be claimed as a dependent on my parents. But now, the past few years, I've just been doing my own taxes through TurboTax, and I never had too many issues until this year, whenever I filed my taxes for 2019. Then sorry, I look very flushed right now. My nose is all red because of the stupid mask I have to wear all day, every day. And so yeah, my skin looks terrible, just like everybody's breaking out because of these stupid masks. Especially people who have to wear them for their job, which is about everybody. Anyway, that's not the topic of this. Again, lose my train of thought as happens with dyspraxics. We get on a different topic. So we try to get back on track. So let me see where I was. Oh yeah, so I was doing my taxes. I was doing my 2019 taxes. And I don't remember what happened because, again, this is the kind of stuff that I don't retain in my head. I don't retain this kind of information. But there was something that happened. I wish I could tell you what it was because I honestly don't remember. But there was some kind of, like, confusion, some kind of thing that it asked for, that it made it seem like I had to pick this sort of option. But to do it, you had to pay like you had to be charged like an additional $40 for it, which if you don't have the money, then they basically just take it out of your refund. And then it wouldn't let me continue past a certain point, so I had to get my brother to help me with it, and he was looking at it for a while. And basically the only thing that he could do to let them go forward with filing your taxes is you have to pay another $50 or something. So I had to pay like $100. I had to get like I was supposed to be about $600 was my tax refund. So whoopee, I mean, it's something, so I should be happy about that, or I should have been happy about that, which I was. I mean, I was freaking ecstatic whenever I checked my bank account that morning and it said $500. But it was supposed to be $600, and they deducted $100 of it because of some bullshit with the app that for some reason told me I had to do this. And again, I don't remember what it was. It was back in April, so it's 4 months. And again, that type of stuff is not the kind of stuff that we remember. Dyspraxics, we have bad short-term memory and good long-term memory, and we're very visual people, so we'll remember visual things, but we won't remember like things that we don't even understand. I mean, if we don't even understand it at the time, of course we're not going to remember it. So I'm trying to get to the point. So yeah, so I finally got my tax refund. And for months, as I was trying to find a job, because again, I had a hard time finding a job whenever I left my job back last summer at Walmart. Since I couldn't go back to that because of their bullshit, which I talked about before in both my video and my blog. So anyway, I know nobody reads that, nobody cares about that, so I'm just going to bring it up. But I couldn't go back to that, and I had a hard time finding a job at that time during the fall and stuff. And then I lost my job, due to the pandemic, so I basically had to, I tried to find another job. Even though I was scared about catching the virus, but, you gotta work. Or else you won't, because if you don't get your stimulus money and you can't file for unemployment, then what can you do, And again, of course, I tried to apply for unemployment, and then there was some bullshit that happened with that. There was some kind of, it didn't let me know that whether or not I got approved. I never got any notification if I was approved or not. I guess I was approved. I don't know. They didn't send out any email to me, not to any of my accounts, even though I listed one. I checked my others just in case. Got nothing, no information that says congratulate, or not. I don't know. You nothing that said that I was to receive unemployment. Also, didn't know that you're supposed to request request unemployment money once every 2 weeks. So not knowing that and just kind of waiting to see, and 3 weeks went by, and I was just like, I should go to the website and see what's up, because it's taking a long time for me to get approved or not. So I checked on it, and it said, you have not requested payment in 3 weeks. And I thought, well, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. First of all, I didn't know that was part of unemployment, because I never filed for unemployment before. Again, another thing that they don't teach you, another thing that nobody... you get to a certain point in your adult life where people expect you to know everything. And they get mad at you, or they treat you like you're stupid, or they blame you for not knowing how to do something. It's like nobody said anything about how unemployment works. Like my mother was telling me, sign up for unemployment. You got to sign up for unemployment. Well, how about walk me through the process? Tell me how that works. I don't, all right, I'll go try to find out on my own how to apply for unemployment. I thought it was pretty straightforward. You just sign up for it, and if you're eligible, then you receive a certain amount of money per week or per 2 weeks or however it works. I didn't know that you're supposed to request payment. So even if I had gotten a notification for getting it, had I gotten that notification, I would have went on the website and probably stumbled upon the request payment thing, and I would have been like, oh, I guess this is something you have to do. But because I received nothing, and I went on the website, after the fact, again, sorry for all the filler words. I know that when I watch these videos back, I always hear uhs and ums and likes and all that stuff. I know it makes somebody sound stupid, but when your mind is going a mile a minute, it's really hard for you to keep a coherent stream of thought of words together. So you have to use a lot of filler words because your mind blanks more than the average person, and you're just trying to again get things back on track. Anyway, where was I? Talking about unemployment, and you're supposed to request payment every 2 weeks, and because I didn't know that, it was too much time had passed, so I was like, well, what do I do now? There was no information about what you're supposed to do if you miss that. What if your internet is disconnected because you can't afford it, and then you finally get on internet, so you're not able to request the money at all. The money at all. I guess you just get screwed over. And so I tried to reapply. It told me I don't need to reapply because my application's already in the system, and all I need to do is request payment again. Well, every time I tried to request payment, it would just tell me that I need to reapply. So I was going around in circles. And all this time, I'm still waiting for my stimulus payment and still not sure why I'm not getting it, because I know that it's not because of my income. Because first of all, I had no income for most of the last half of 2019 anyway. And I certainly wasn't, even though I was making decent money, I was not making the minimum for not being eligible. I should have been financially, I should have been eligible for the stimulus payment. I don't know if this is all to do with Trump's dumbass administration or what, or how stupid the American government is, because they are stupid. This is the stupidest government in the whole entire world, which is why I don't believe that they were responsible for 9/11, because how could they're not cunning enough. Anyway, that's a whole different thing. So, where was I? Again, I went on a different tangent. I don't know. People are probably laughing at that. But anyway, Jesus Christ, I don't remember what I was talking about. Unemployment, stimulus payment. Yeah, so I'm waiting on my stimulus payment. There's no information about when I'm supposed to receive it, if I'm supposed to receive it at all. And I'm basically living off of my tax refund, which is only $500, which, of course, it barely covers 1 month of rent, and keep in mind I have to also pitch in to pay bills and money. So I couldn't pitch in for rent. We would have been evicted if they didn't hold off on evictions. But of course they didn't freeze rent or anything. So whatever rent we couldn't pay, we owed. So we owed lots of money. My brother had to borrow a bunch of money from different people. Our parents loaned us $600, which I'll always be grateful for that. That saved our asses. But of course, the stupid people that run these apartments, they have no understanding of people's plight. So they were constantly hounding us, trying to call us every day and knocking on our door, and I'd have to explain to them, I haven't gotten my stimulus payment yet. I haven't been able to get another job because I got laid off because of the pandemic. So, and my brother's trying to work as much as he can, but there's only so much that he can do, to make over, to be able to pay, because he would pay all the money for 1 month himself, and then the next day they would ask us about the next month's rent. It's like, well, he just scrape together enough money to pay for 1 month. You can wait a little bit for us to be able to pay the next one. I mean, try to understand the fact that we're not screwing with you on purpose. Like, we're not deliberately not paying our rent. We don't have the fucking money. You know, we're trying to get the money together, but the thing is, if I'm not working, what can I do? You know, my brother's the only one working. He's lucky that he could still do DoorDash, which is what he does. You know, and that's not like 6-figure income. You know, you only make so much money, and you know, so you know, and a lot of places were not open. A lot of places closed down. You couldn't work at restaurants for a while. So it was hard enough trying to get a job before all this happened, but in the midst of the pandemic, there were even less places that you could find a job at. I mean, it's just, unless you were already working somewhere and were listed as an essential employee, then you would be eligible. But nope. I mean, you would be listed as an essential worker, so you would be able to keep your job. But then again, you have to deal with so much more fear and so much put on your shoulders, which a lot of people were, because of just all the chaos that ensued as a result of all that stuff. So I couldn't get unemployment, and I was still waiting on my stimulus payment. So months go by, and you know, trying to borrow money. I had friends who I'm very thankful for, who helped me just a little bit. They could only send like $50, so there's only little that they could contribute. But it helped me get, it helped me pay for a couple of meals. Not a couple, obviously. I don't spend $25 on every meal. It paid for several things too. Also, the fact that my brother, even though he's the only one who would have an income at the time, he still insisted that I pay like half of everything. Well, some nights he would, to his credit, he would buy a cheap dinner for us, like something like a box of Hamburger Helper or something very cheap, which I understand. But we were eating very cheaply, and even still the money runs out quickly, like sand in an hourglass. Like there's just money doesn't last very long. So even for like tax refund, that helped me I stretched that as far as it could go, and I was starting to run out. Still, occasionally my parents would send us like $100, which, of course we would stretch that as much as we could. And putting in applications and tried a Walmart again when I became eligible. And again, as I mentioned, a stupid assessment. And then I finally got this job that I work currently at Albertsons, which I hate, but that's a whole nother story. And I don't really get paid that much, but I'm hoping that it helps us out for a little while. But the point is, I could have really used that stimulus payment. And I kept trying to call the IRS to see if there was any information, any reason why I didn't get it. Because by this point, 4 months later, about 4 months later, it's August. They started sending it out in April, and I still never got it. And I just accepted the fact that I was not going to get it. But everyone was telling me, well, you got to find out why, because that's a lot of money to just give up on. But every time I tried to call the IRS, I would have to wait like 30 minutes, and then they would hang up on me. But while I was still on hold. So I was just like, I can't just... But anyway, finally today, I decided I'll try. It probably won't do anything, but I'll try to call them. So I called them today, and again, first person I came up to, and I don't want to. This may sound really bad, and I don't mean it in a bad way, except. I don't mean this in a racial way, but she was one of those, she sounded like one of those really trashy black girls, like the person I was on the other end. She had no customer service voice at all. Again, met very, very professional black women and stuff, and they talk. They know how to speak. They know the proper way to speak. But this lady is like, "Thank you for calling the IRS," and then like it was obvious she couldn't even remember like the script of what she's supposed to say when she answers the phone. And then I was like asking her, like I said, like, well, I'm trying to reach somebody about my stimulus payment. She's like, and then she sounded like she didn't like nobody had ever called to ask about that. It's like, if you'll please hold, I gotta transfer you to somebody else. And so they transferred me to another really trashy sounding black girl. And she was at, I told her that I was trying to see why I never got my stimulus payment. And she decided to, she asked me some basic questions like, what's your social security number, what's your date of birth, your address, And I gave her that, and then she said, all right, it's going to be about a 5 to 7 minute hold. So she, so I was put on hold, and then 20 minutes later, I was on hold for 20 minutes, and I got hung up on again. So I called back immediately. I don't know if it was the same trashy black girl, if it was just like everybody that works at the IRS are just trashy, ghetto-sounding black girls. But I told them what happened. I told them I got hung up on, and then they transferred me to somebody else. And this lady still sounded like kind of a ghetto, trashy black girl, but she sounded, she was a bit more helpful, I guess. Like she seemed like she was a bit more understanding, I guess. And she understood my frustration of being hung up on twice. So she asked me like basically the same information. She asked me a few additional things. She asked me for my name. The last girl asked me for my name, but this girl asked me for my name plus my middle initial. And she also asked for my mother's maiden name and just some other like security questions and stuff. And then she told me she would be put on hold. I would be put on hold for 5 to 7 minutes, and I said, okay, I just hope I don't get hung up on again, because I will call back. And she like laughed, and then I ended up being on hold for like maybe 2 minutes. So I was happy with how quick she came back to me. But when she came back to me, she had some information that I didn't quite understand. Because again, it's all tax lingo. It's all stuff, I wrote down some of it. So she said on my 1040, there was something called a standard deduction entity, and there were 3 boxes where you could list either your of dependents. You could either list yourself, like your wife if you're married, and your kids if you're if you have kids. So like my oldest brother, he's common law married, so he was claiming his wife and his stepson and his son as dependents. So he checked, I guess, all 3 boxes or something. I don't know. But anyway, she said that both my tax returns for 2018 and 2019 had the box for dependent. Like if I was listed as a dependent, she said it was checked, and that was the reason why I am not receiving a stimulus payment. And not only am I not is this the reason why I never received one, but I'm not going to receive one. I'm not eligible to receive a stimulus payment. I'm not even eligible, because they're talking about sending out a second stimulus payment, and I'm not even eligible for that, because it goes by your 2018 and your 2019 tax returns. And my 2018 and 2019 tax returns list me as a dependent. I don't know how she didn't have this information. There was no information apparently that said whether or not I listed myself as a dependent, which if you're doing your own taxes, wouldn't you list yourself? I don't remember, again, as I said before, when I did my taxes, I was going through TurboTax. So they were walking me through the information. I was just filling in the blanks. I was just answering their questions. And, whatever box that says to check, I check. So I don't know if maybe one of my parents. I don't think my parents. I'm pretty sure did not list me as a dependent on their taxes. And I asked her if that was a possibility, and she said no. But she also wouldn't. Like I also said, so it must mean that I somehow listed myself as a dependent. And she says, well, no, not really. But she wouldn't give me like what else could it be if I can't be if somebody else didn't list me as a dependent, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I listed myself as a dependent. All it says is that she just said all it says is that box is checked, and that's why you are not going to receive a stimulus payment. Also, another thing is, through all these calls, all these people that I reached, I don't know what is wrong with the IRS connection, but half of a lot of the shit they said would get cut out. It was like you would hear this like static. You would, and it was like like it wasn't a secure line, like it wasn't a phone line that was secure enough where it just kept breaking up. They just kept on breaking up. And I know it's not my phone because my every time I call people, it's fine. So yeah, it says standard deduction entity, and it says that I was listed as a dependent. No info on whether it was me who listed myself as a dependent or if there was some other thing that happened. Again, I don't know any of this stuff. I can't even speak for myself because I don't even remember the details. I don't remember if I just thought, oh, well, I guess I'm supposed to list myself as a dependent. Of course, I know that there's going to be people who are watching this who are going to be like, well, yeah, if you list yourself, you're not supposed to list yourself as a dependent. But I can't even, how are you supposed to know that automatically? It doesn't sound like common sense to me. But even still, I'm not even saying that that's what happened. I'm not even saying that I did list myself as a dependent. I'm just saying, or I'm not even saying that that's what I was thinking at the time. I can't speak for my thought processes for trying to file my taxes in April. For all I know, this could have been related to the whole bullshit that made me lose out on $100 of my refund. So she said the only thing that I can do, because I'm not eligible to receive a stimulus payment, so the fact that I have a job is the only thing saving me because I'm not going to be able to rely on government assistance, cannot apply for unemployment, probably could not go on welfare. I don't even know how you become eligible for welfare. And I cannot get a stimulus for this stimulus or the next stimulus that they put out, which I heard is going to be even less. Which, I mean, $1,200 is pretty good to just suddenly get, but my brother's his stimulus payment lasted probably a couple of days because he had to use it to help to pay all the bills that we owed. So we were gonna lose our electricity and lose our internet and everything that we need. Except for water, which these stupid apartments just shut off our water randomly to work on something, and they don't even let you know. They don't give you any forewarning. So there have been times I needed to take a shower before work, and then I couldn't even wash my hands or wash my face or do anything because the damn water was shut off. So anyway, she said the only thing I can do is, on my next year's taxes, is file a claim recovery rebate credit. And she says that either they'll include some of the money from the stimulus in my tax refund, or they'll deduct it from the taxes that I owe. I don't know. So I don't know if that is good. I don't know if that's going to help me. I don't know if I'm going to get extra money on my next year's tax returns, which is great, don't get me wrong. But I really could have used this money. I really needed it. And now I feel terrible because people have gone out of their way to help us. And I will probably never be able to pay them back. So, anyway, I forgot I'm live. Somebody popped their head in and left, and whatever. That's fine. I try not to let that get to me. It's so vain to get upset over things like that, and I'm embarrassed that I let something like that upset me, especially because I know that there are people who watch some of these, and not a lot of people, but some people do watch some of these after they're posted, and a lot of the people that do, they're asleep at this time, so of course they're not going to watch live. That's fine. I don't care. I'm more upset over my stimulus payment and the fact that now I know that it's some stupid technicality, some technical reason. They didn't even list that as like a possibility, as a reason that somebody could not get their stimulus payment. Like, it wasn't even listed as a possibility that could be a reason you would be ineligible. So, yeah, that's why I'm not going to receive a stimulus for this time or next time. So my only option is to work mostly jobs that I don't like, that I hate. I'm not acting like a stimulus relief payment is like some sort of saving grace, something that's going to get me out of poverty or get me out of debt or anything. Like, I know it's only temporary money. As soon as I received it, it would go away because to cover expenses. But it would have helped us out a lot, especially during the time that we really were struggling and we really needed that. We needed that money. I'm amazed that we managed to get through this far, which I'll always remember. I don't know what my financial future is going to be like. It doesn't look good, but you never know. So, yeah, if I could get disability for dyspraxia, that would make so much of a difference, because it's basically a disability. I mean, I used to say, oh, it's not a disability, it's just a disorder. It makes things harder, but it doesn't disable you from doing things. But I realized that a disability doesn't necessarily mean that you're unable to do anything. It just means it means having a condition that severely impacts your ability to work. So it doesn't mean that you can't do the things that are part of your job, but it severely affects your ability to do those things. And I realized that I used to not think about these things. Now I think about it all the time, because there's a lot of things that I'm doing the blog, doing the book, and I'm about to start doing a podcast. I don't know when that's going to happen. I have to try and get that off the ground. Again, all stuff that I do, not because it gets any notoriety or any attention, because it doesn't. People still don't care about my story or my thoughts or anything. So it's not like I'm gonna get famous talking about dyspraxia. It's not like I don't think I'm gonna make a difference talking about it, because I don't. I'm just another person talking about it, and it's pretty obvious that the public doesn't care about people in our situation. I mean, if anything has shown me through just this pandemic, it's that we live in a very selfish, self-centered world. And even though now strides are being made for like severe disabilities like autism and cerebral palsy and stuff, not even that much for cerebral palsy, but stuff like autism, because you have no choice, because these people can't really fend for themselves, unless they're high functioning, and even still there's good attention that comes to that, which is great. But for stuff like dyspraxia, because there's so little understanding of it, and I don't think there's any desire to understand it even when people hear about it, because I try to explain it to people, and it goes in one ear and out the other. I try my best. I mean, I talk about dyspraxia more than I've ever talked about it before in my life. Now, I talk to people about it at work. I explain it to my employers. I talk to friends about it. I bring it up frequently, and it almost becomes like a point of annoyance. I try not to talk about it excessively to like that's the only thing I talk about, because it's not the only thing in my life. It's not the only. It doesn't define me. It's not my identity to be dyspraxic. It's just a major force in my life, and it's something that's impacted my life. And the lack of understanding and awareness for it has made even more of an impact. If that, so I try to talk about it, so at least maybe I can try and help some people understand, because it is hard to live with. And I don't know how the future's going to go, because it's every job that I have, it gets in the way. It's like a curse. And I don't want to view dyspraxia as a curse. But it feels like it sometimes in a workplace setting, because it causes you to screw up in so many ways. And there's no way for people to, like, all people can do, God damn it, I'm getting the notifications and stuff, so I'm sorry if you hear a bunch of noise. It's probably nothing important. These things distract me. So I'm sorry, I forgot again what I was saying, because I got distracted by the noise and all that. It's just that dyspraxia makes you look dumb. It makes you look lazy. It makes you look autistic, I guess, because you look aloof and like a deer in the headlights, and you have no coordination. Like I'll give you an example. The other day I was stocking baby food. First of all, I dropped the baby food, shattered, and I had to clean it up. And then I'll show you a little bit of like how I put the baby food on the shelf. It was literally like that, trying to put, to kind of get the package open, and then you just, not much light, so I apologize, but you just, very slowly, because if I try to do it quickly like other people do, things will knock over, it'll slip out of my hand. Like, I gotta be careful and gentle with just about everything I do, so of course I'm slow. I try to rush certain things, but then when I do that, it increases the chance of screwing things up, but it also looks aggressive, I guess, and it's a very unprofessional way to do things, because I'm worried about my speed rather than my accuracy. I cannot be both. I cannot be fast and accurate in my work, unless my job is literally to walk from here to there. Then I can do it really quickly. So, if I have to walk over here, if I have to go across the store for whatever reason, then I can just, leave quickly. If that makes sense. I just zip by. I'm quick on my feet, but I'm not quick on my feet, if that makes sense. Anyway, so dyspraxia is a hard thing to live with. It's much harder than people realize. And it's really sad, because I feel like whenever I talk about it, nobody really listens. Nobody empathizes. Nobody understands how it's difficult for me. They're just like, okay, whatever. They have such a lackadaisical attitude towards these types of things. And it's invisible, but when it comes out, it really comes out. And it's not obvious to others that it's some kind of disorder, so they judge you and they look down on you. So I just try to explain it the best that I can. I just try to let people know, yeah, the reason why I do it this way, or the reason why I struggle with this, is because I have a neurological disorder. And a lot of times I have to just explain it. Like, I have to shoehorn it in. I have to just throw it in there. No, I have this neurological condition, and it affects my coordination and stuff. And then before I know it, the conversation's over, because there's not enough time to just sit down and explain to somebody a heart-to-heart, because the people that you work with, they're not the kind of people to have a heart-to-heart conversation with. So, in summation, that's all I'm going to say on my live stream. I know I've kind of rambled for a long time. I don't know exactly how long I've rambled for, but yeah. So that's what went on with my stimulus payment, and that's kind of what I'm dealing with now with my dyspraxia in the workplace, and I am fat. So yeah, standard deduction entity. I did not get my stimulus payment, and I never will, unless it somehow is put as a credit on my next year's taxes. But I'll tell you this, I'm never doing my taxes and filing it with TurboTax. I'm going to find another way to do it next year when I do my taxes. I'm going to get somebody to help me. I'm not going to use TurboTax again because, one, they screwed me out of $100 of my tax refund because of their convoluted bullshit. And two, they cost me my $1,200 of stimulus money that I desperately needed. I needed that extra 100 too. So that's $1,300 that TurboTax cost me. And to some people that may not seem like a lot of money, but it is when you're in my situation. And it's hard to work, you know. I know people say, "Oh, we'll just get a full-time job," which, first of all, it's hard to get hired at a job that pays enough and gives you enough hours. And second, whenever you even have those kinds of things, as a dyspraxic, you get so burnt out and you get so stressed, and you go through so much just to work as a dyspraxic. People do not understand. They don't understand why it's so much harder for you than everybody else, or not everybody else, because there's people who have more significant, disorders. But then your average person. So here I am, just in my apartment, just sour about the fact that I'm not going to receive that money that I needed. I don't like the way I talk, I don't like the way I look, but you all know that. You know how much I hate myself. It's nothing new, and it's one reason why nobody likes me, and why I'm such a loser, and why I'm in this situation. So, anyway, that's it. If anybody watches this later, whatever you want to say, comment, whatever. It's done. And I'm sorry if you hear the loud air conditioner unit, because we did not have air conditioning for a while, and they couldn't fix it right away, so they just put a window unit. So that is pretty loud. So I apologize for that if it, I hope you heard what I said. Thank you, and good night.